Hello everyone and welcome to this very special FPL Gameweek 10 Friday live stream. A bit different to the usual stream because I'm doing a special Ask Me Anything today in aid of Cancer Research UK. The deadline stream, which will be similar to what you normally see from me on a Friday, is coming on Saturday because we've got a bit of a later deadline, 12 p.m. for that one, so it should be an interesting one. We're still waiting for news on Mitrovic's injury status, which kind of is what is hinging our transfer plans on for Game Week 10. So that's where we're at with everything. So in today's session, I'm going to be answering your questions, FPL related and non-FPL related as well, but FPL questions, even if you've got a beginner's question that you really want answering, just let me know and I'll go through as many of them as possible. So start saying hello in the chat and leaving your questions in there. We've had a few already that I'm going to get to. In terms of this week then and my transfer plans, I mean, we need that Mitrovic news. The press conference for Fulham is at 1:30, so it'll be interesting to see what Silva has to say in that one. In terms of my plans at the moment, if Mitrovic is out, I need to deal with that situation. I really want Phil Foden. I'm already trebled up on Man City. I am looking at ditching Cancelo and trying to get Foden in. I've not got enough funds though from Andreas, which is annoying. So whether Martinelli would be the make weight, whether Mitrovic and Andreas go and I put in Foden, don't know who goes in there because I kind of need a forward that's going to get at least some game time in the blank. Maybe I go Diego Costa. Can I do that? Could do. Of just as a bench player and then someone put someone like Gay in defence. Could do something like that. Can't even spell it. I'm not on the right tab, that's why. It's not really worth 4 points, is it, just to get Foden? I can just see Man City doing really well in that fixture. I'm a bit snookered with my squad. I need a bit of a cash cow because I've got no money in the bank, so I can't do anything with Neco Williams, Emerson or Andreas. Mitrovic, I've got to pick a striker under 6.8 million, in which case there aren't that many. Probably going to have to be Solanke. I mean, if he's fit or if he's available in a few weeks, then I may just bench him. But I've not got a sub to come on either, so this is why I'm struggling a bit. But until we know about Mitrovic, I'm not going to worry too much because I need to, make a few more decisions in there on what to do. So that's kind of where I'm at the moment. So as I mentioned then, it is charity week. So any revenue from this stream, as well as all my other Game Week 10 content, is going to go to Cancer Research UK, which is a charity that is really important to me. So just by watching this stream, you are supporting. If you hit the like button, it'll get it out to more people. More views means more revenue. And also if you hit the subscribe button, I'm putting 10p into the pot for all new subscribers this week. I think I've had about 250, so that's already a solid 25 quid in there, which is good to see as well. And if you want to donate more, you can do by becoming a channel member or leaving a super chat or a super thanks on this one. And obviously all of your support on that's really appreciated. It's going really well so far this week. Hoping by tomorrow's deadline stream I can have a decent amount of money in the pot for charity there. So I'm going to start saying some hellos and having a look at answering some questions in the chat. So Chris and Gary and David were all in quite early, so hello to you guys. We've also got DJ Cool is back, Ethan, Fired, Angus, Jimbo, Tarek, LT Lyrics, Bilal, Top Gear and Naylor. So thank you everyone for joining. Do say hello in the chat if you haven't already and start dropping in your questions. Remember, these can be FPL related, they can be beginners questions if you've got a beginner's question to ask, or they could be not about FPL. Literally, the stream is Ask Me Anything, so go for it. So Chris has started us off. He said he's struggling with choice on what defender to play in the 3-5-2. James Cancelo are definitely playing. It's between Shah, Dallo and Cody for the third option. Also, keepers Sanchez or Raya. I think in terms of goalkeepers, I mean, Sanchez has got Spurs, Raya has got Newcastle. Neither are very easy. If I just have a look at the points prediction tool on Hub this week. This will just help us. Link is in the description for access to this one. Is it going to load for me? I bet you as well as soon. I actually haven't been logged out of the FPL website today, which is something. So neither of them are very high on this. You kind of just have to back the odds though. So Sanchez is predicted higher than Raya. He's probably got a bit more of a clean sheet chance according to this. So if you wanted to, my thing with if you've got a 50-50 like this in FPL is if you go with the odds, then that's going to be the safest way of sorting them out. And then in terms of your defenders, Shah, Dallo and Cody, I think Shah is fine, but I think probably Dallo is the better option of those three. Gary has asked a non-FPL question. Hi Holly, good luck with the charity week. Thanks Gary. How did you achieve your career progression from maths teacher to top FPL pundit? I do wonder this myself, how it happened. I've been playing FPL since 2014 and I've been, a part of the community since 2015. Started doing my first bits of content 2017. Decided to make the website Fantasy Football Community to aggregate FPL content. That site is now run by Fantasy Football Scout. And that, having that website really helped to build my profile, gave me lots of new opportunities, including, doing work for the Premier League. I'm just trying to think back of who I was working with at the time. And then, so I was a maths teacher and then running the website on the side and doing a few freelance things. And then I went on maternity leave with my eldest child. And then it got to the point where it was going back to work time and I couldn't do the motherhood thing properly and have the full-time job and doing FPL on the side in kind of evenings, weekends. So something had to give and, I was in a lucky situation where I could take the plunge and I've literally not looked back from there. But, I never really set out to be an FPL pundit. I just enjoyed FPL content, looking at FPL content, making my own and kind of evolved from there. But I think, these things are best when they happen naturally anyway, not having to force it. And, I'm in a very lucky situation now where I do FPL punditry as my full-time job. It doesn't really feel like a job. So I'm very lucky and, get to spend lots of time with my kids as well. Gary's also asked, Gary is a Grimsby Town fan. I'm also from Grimsby. This is why he's asking. He said, how often, if ever, do you go to Blundell Park to support Grimsby? You're not going to like me, Gary. It's not very often. Not in my adulthood have I been to a town game. Been to a few as a kid. Been to a few like family fun days and stuff when I was really young. But yeah, not a regular at Grimsby, I'm afraid. Sorry to disappoint. That's probably not the answer that you was hoping to see, but that is the truth. So, got to be true to myself in there. Keep going down the questions. David is in from Melbourne. Hello, David. I think I might have missed a few more hellos as well, so I'll just get through those quickly. Naylor is in. Hello, and hello to Ahmed. Bruno, FPL veteran is in. FPVLFC. Stumbling on the acronyms. Nelson is in as well. So thank you for all those hellos. Do drop your questions in, whether they be FPL related or non-FPL related, and if you want to provide some extra support for Charity Week, super chat and super thanks is on in this stream as well. There's 37 of you in, only 16 of you have hit the like button, so keep smashing that as well. Let's see what questions we've got then. Ethan says, do you think St. Maximin will start? There was some comment today, wasn't there? I always check what Ben Dinnery's been up to because he is the fountain of all knowledge. I feel like there was something in the press conference today, so let's see what was said. Doing okay, trained well this week, we're pleased with him. There's a chance he could be in the squad tomorrow. I think chance of him being in the squad probably means not a start, Ethan. Angus says, will you hold or sell Salah? I think my gut feeling is if you've got this far with Salah, you hold him because he's going to be... I don't think that the Arsenal game is that bad for Salah. Obviously, the City game is. But then West Ham game week 12, it could be a good captain option. So I think if you've made it this far, you continue with him. I mean, he's got 6 attacking returns from 7 games. He's not had a bad start to the season. But Haaland's arrived in the Premier League and he's just breaking the Premier League. So that's kind of the difference in there. Jimbo Jumbo. Top 300k. Great start to the season. But injuries to Fofana, Isaac and Mitro are killing my team. Already bought Zaha in. Should I take a -4? Probably not the worst idea in your situation. Particularly, I think Fofana and Isaac are easier sells than Mitrovic because Mitrovic you're going to want back in a few weeks. Isaac will rotate with Wilson. Fofana's out until after the World Cup break. So I would look to replace one of those first. I think there's a bigger upside by replacing Isaac this week. Depends who you've got from the bench, but if you've got 3 injuries, you've probably not got a lot on your bench. So that's where I'd look first. Tarek says Bowen or Foden for the next 3 games. I mean, I'm team Foden, but we have to bear in mind that this weekend's fixture is really, really appealing. I can see a massive score for Man City in that game. But after that, Liverpool and then a blank. It's not quite as easy. Let me have a look at Bowen's fixtures. Fulham, Southampton, Liverpool. So, you know, it's difficult. I mean, I think I'd still go Foden. I think if you're entertaining Foden, you're probably not troubled up on Man City this week, and I think that's really important. And I think it's even fine to get Foden this week and then sell for Bowen next week. Bilal says, what about Diego Costa? What about Diego Costa? So he had quite an impressive debut for Wolves. Came on 32 minutes. I think he had an assist and the goal was ruled out for offside. He also had another good chance himself. Chelsea obviously not the easiest fixture this week, but it's his old club. What could he do in that fixture? You never know. And then it's Forest, Crystal Palace, Leicester in the next 3 after that. Like, it could be worth the punt. I was really surprised when he came in at 5.5, if I'm honest. I thought he would be 6.5. I mean, glory days, he was like 10 million. It was a long time ago, though, yeah? We've got to bear that in mind. He's not been in the Premier League for 5 years, so I'm intrigued. You know, he's such a good player. LT Lyrics, can you transfer Tony out for Wilson, since Tony seems to struggle away from home? Yeah, Tony's kind of like fizzled out in the last couple of games. Fixtures are still okay. He's the talisman of the team though. 7 attacking returns in 8 games is good. I'm, you know, going to be a little bit more patient with him. Naylor says, would you move Diaz for Reece James this week? Don't know. I mean, we've got to... He missed out last week, but you've got to assume he starts against Southampton. But Reece James is a really attractive option, particularly this week with Wolves at home. The fixtures are a little bit of a mix for Chelsea, but he looked sensational in the Champions League. I think he's going to be a better fantasy asset, if that's possible, under Potter than he was under Tuchel, until he gets injured. Sorry, I've just realised I've not even... You can't even see what I'm doing because I'm not even on the right page. So I don't mind that move if it's for free. This is quite an interesting question from Niles. De Bruyne to Foden. I mean, I don't hate that move. And it's a move that I'll probably make in the coming weeks. Because particularly for me, my team value is shocking. Let me just find out my team value because I know it's really bad. 101. You know, it's actually got quite a lot better over the last few weeks than it has been. 101.4 now, actually, but, you know, I was at 100.2. I never slipped under the 100 mark, which is something. But yeah, shocking team value over that first part of the season. So for someone like me being able to do the sideways move of De Bruyne to Foden, which frees up 4.2 million, you know, that is a lot of money. However, De Bruyne's record in the against Southampton is ridiculous. So it's not something that I want to do this week. I did look at it. I think it's something that I mentioned on the my team selection video earlier this week. But the fact that De Bruyne and Foden were both given the night off in the Champions League makes them both really attractive options. Why is this not loading for me? Makes them both really attractive options for this weekend. And I think if there was more of a difference in their minutes in the Champions League, then it might have been easier. But I'd back them both in equal measure. I'm expecting them both to deliver, but I couldn't tell you either way who's going to be the best option. Right, this is it then. So De Bruyne against Southampton in the Premier League, 4 goals, 8 assists. I mean, last season, unimpressive, but before that, you know, really great record. So I don't want to lose De Bruyne this week for Foden. FPL Veteran says, thought on keeping Mitrovic or not. Marco Silva's press conference is at 1:30. Hopefully we get definitive news of A, whether he's available for this weekend, and B, if he's not, how long he's going to be out for. But my gut feeling is that even if he's out for this weekend, if it looks like he's going to be available either in time for game week 11 against Bournemouth or in time for blank game week 12 against Aston Villa, you bench him. If he's going to be out until at least game week 13, then he's a sell. We do need to bear in mind though as well that there's that midweek game week. Blank game week 12 is a midweek game week. That is, with the blank as well, it's going to be an awful game week. I'm just warning you now, do not have high expectations for that one. The FPL FC, do I pop a V on Salah or do I get rid of him? Is this why your FPVL FC, is that the vice captaincy in there? Pop a vice captain on Salah? I don't think I'd vice captain him this week. I think there's certainly better options, but keep the faith. Nuclear Atoms is in, -4 to get rid of Sinistera and Salah, out for Foden and Trossard. Don't think it's worth it this week. Trossard's got Spurs, right? It's not that easy a fixture. Subham says, if Mitrovic is injured, should I burn a transfer or should I transfer Gaita in? Who is your goalkeeper at the moment? That would be handy to know. I personally really hate burning a transfer. I've done it once, was really uncomfortable with it, but in hindsight it was the right thing to do. So, you know, it's something I'm slightly open to this week, depending on the Mitrovic news. Like, I could tear my team apart to get Foden in for Cancelo. There's still something I'm looking at. It involves selling Cancelo and Martinelli though, like the risks are there. Using 2 transfers, if Mitrovic isn't injured, I kind of only want to use 1 transfer and roll 1. But there's no guarantees that the 2 players that I bring in score more than the 2 players going out. It doesn't free up any more funds for me, really. And I've only got 1 transfer to next week, so transfers are precious, especially with a blank coming up. This is the headache. If it wasn't for that blank, life would be so much easier. Nelson says, I'm excited about the deadline day stream. Thank you, Nelson. It'd be good to see you in there. I have flags all over my team, thinking of using both my transfers. What do you think of Solanke and Zaha for Mitrovic and Bailey? Yeah, again, if Mitrovic is out long term, I think those moves are fine. Ahmed says Bowen or Zaha for game week 10. I'm more of a Zaha fan. Remember, Bowen, West Ham are in the Europa Conference League, which makes things a little bit more difficult in terms of their assets. That would be the move that I would look to make. Crystal Palace are top of the fixture ticker, right? Till the World Cup. Yeah, look at that. all the way down to Game Week 16. Leeds, Leicester, Wolves, Everton, Southampton, West Ham, Nottingham Forest. Nice question from Nuclear Atoms. Can you tell us how you got called up in the FPL show for the first time? I think it was literally a case of being in the right place at the right time. I started doing a little bit of work for Fantasy Football Scout, just inputting on like a Q&A style article, and the Premier League were also looking for a panel of people to use for their content on the website, and that got shared with them. So I ended up doing, this was at the start of the 2018-19 season, I ended up doing a little bit of a filming day with the Premier League themselves for, the videos at the start of the season. I think it was me, David Munday, Ben, I want to say Ben Crellin, it's not Ben. Going to be livid that I've forgotten his name now. Ben Crabtree and Simon March, who both won FPL before. So we did this little bit of filming, and then the FPL show was moving to wanting regular pundits at the same time, and the producer of the show got in touch because he'd seen me do that, and he'd used the likes of the other people on the panel on the shows, and asked if I'd like to go film a show, and the rest is history from there. So, been a little bit lucky with that, but obviously it's been a great opportunity. Very sadly, the official FPL show not on this season. I'm missing it a lot, but I have been lucky enough to be asked to appear on the Sky Sports FPL show, which has been really exciting. So looking forward to doing a few more of those in the upcoming weeks. Hassan, do I start with the Almiron, in the hope that he will contribute to the goals, or do I start with Dalot in the hope that it will come out with a clean sheet? I always favour the attacking player. I think Brentford at home is a good fixture for Newcastle. So I think I'd start Almiron. He looked really impressive last time out. Jandre, KDB to Foden or roll the transfer. Hopefully I've covered that one. Juice World, is Mitrovic fit? We don't know. 1:30 is the time for Marco Silva's press conference. That's what we've got to think about. Hopefully we'll get firm news either way, and we can look to then decide on our transfers. Ahmad said, is Salah a must, or can we go to Diaz in Game Week 12 and use funds elsewhere? Yeah, I mean, in terms of Game Week 12, let me get the fixtures up. Who are we going to captain in Game Week 12? Well, it's a midweek game, so, there's going to be rotation all over the place. Leicester play Leeds, Maddison. Fulham play Aston Villa, so Mitrovic, if he's free, if he's available. You've got Man United against Spurs, which, makes the situation tougher. So it's not looking great, is it? Let me have a look at... I'll come out of this and back in because it'll probably work better that way. What the algorithm says. So for Game Week 12, Salah is top captain pick. Then Trent, Kane, Diaz, Son, Wilson, Trossard, Maddison, Sterling, Solanke. It's not looking great, is it? Really not looking great. So yeah, that is the challenge. But yeah, you could go to Diaz. Things can change though, it's still a few weeks away. We may see an upturn in form for Liverpool. We may see someone else come to the fore as well. So that's kind of where I'm at the moment with thinking about Game Week 12. Gazman, work making me late. Well, you're here now, Gazman. It's fine. I'll let you off as long as you've liked the stream. Hold Mitro if injured, or maybe Samaka in good form, good fixture. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Samaka yet, and everyone keeps saying, what about Samaka? I don't even know if I'm saying his name right, if I'm honest. So do correct me. Let's have a look at forwards. Let's go for under 8 million until the World Cup break. So according to the algorithm, Wilson's top. The thing I don't like about Wilson is... the potential to rotate with Isaac. Then it's Solanke, Morpay, Jesus, Mitrovic. I think The trouble is with using algorithms when there's a player new to the league is it kind of takes them a while to get picked up, so it doesn't actually feature in there. Could be one to watch. If we look at West Ham's fixtures, I think from an attack perspective, they're looking pretty good this week. Fulham, Southampton, and then they've got the Bournemouth game. So 3 of the next 4 look particularly good. Jandre, Salah and Wilson, or Kane and Diaz? I mean, I'm not loving either combo, but probably Salah and Wilson if you made me choose. The FPL, I'm really struggling with your name. The FPVL FC. When should I bring Jota in? I'm not going to attempt to say that again. When should you bring Jota in? I don't know, really. The trouble is, there's going to be a lot of rotation for Liverpool now that everyone's fit. You've got Salah, you've got Núñez, Firmino, Jota, Diaz. And Jota is a forward and he's more expensive than Diaz. Sorry, I've just lost where I was in the chat now. Christos says, is Solanke still a good transfer? Yeah, he's come under a bit of criticism, Solanke, and I think it's because of his lack of form. And, you know, Bournemouth have been the least attacking team in the Premier League so far this season. There's a lot of games in which they've failed to score, and that does dent his appeal. However, the fixtures are very good, and Solanke did score a lot of goals in the Championship last season. Kind of went under the radar because Mitrovic was just sensational, but yeah. I still think that if we get news that Mitrovic is out injured for a few games, then I'll just get Solanke in. James says, why not Thiago Silva instead of James? What am I missing? James is just far more attacking. We saw in the Champions League this midweek, he got a goal and an assist. Thiago Silva has got assists in consecutive games, but it's not really something we expect of him all the time. So that's why he's kind of not been as well fancied as Reece James, who is, you know, you've got to look at their positions on the pitch. We've got to remember that James is playing as a right winger essentially, whereas Thiago Silva's centre-back. That is the difference there. That is why lots of people really looking towards Reece James as a better option, especially because there's not that much to pick between them on price at the moment. Just a quick reminder then before I carry on with some questions is that it is Charity Week this week, so all the revenue from all my streams and videos are going to Cancer Research UK. So just by being here, you're supporting. If you are new, if you subscribe to the channel, I'll put an extra 10p in the pot. And obviously the super chat and the super thanks are live as well for this video if you want to donate a bit extra to add into the pot. Amat says, I've got 5 Arsenal and Man City players. Should I use the free hit in game week 12? You could do, but we've got to remember we've had a whole round of Premier League fixtures cancelled this season. We've had various other games cancelled because of rail strikes and, you know, the death of the Queen. So there's going to be a lot of double game weeks to come later in the season. We could see a double game week where all teams play twice, and that could be a really good one for the free hit. So I think it's best just to, you know, maybe sell 2 of your Arsenal and Man City players and then bench the other 3, the ones who've got more value tied up in, which are likely to be Haaland, Cancelo and maybe Martinelli, because the fixtures are really nice again at game week 13. Angus says, can you check Salah's record via the Gunners yet? I did check it the other day. I think it was not that great. Let me just put it in transfer market. This is my go-to. See what we've got. Here we go. So 11 appearances in the Premier League, 8 goals, 4 assists. Oh, okay, it's great. Yeah, it's quite impressive actually. And that is a big thing for strikers, goal scorers, where confidence is a thing. He'll know going into that game that he has got a good record against Arsenal, and that will spur him on. Joel says, thoughts on Sergio Gomez as a punt? Yeah, he's fantastic. I mean, the only downside is that there's at least 4 Man City players that I'd want over him, which are Haaland, obviously, De Bruyne, Foden and Cancelo, but 4.5 million is a great enabler for our fantasy squads. Kyle Walker is going to be out for a bit. We see Cancelo moving over to the right, which I think I've read a stat somewhere at some point that it's the side where is a bit more prevalent. So that's obviously something that's going to be interesting. And then Gomez will be on the left. VL says, I got Rashford in. What do you think? Does he start? I think he should do. I mean, he was on the bench in the Europa League, put in a really impressive performance. I don't see why he doesn't start at the weekend. Really good fixture, Everton away. Let's have a look what other questions we've got then. Sorry, I got a bit distracted there. Fatel, what do I think of my wildcard team? Yeah, I think that's all looking, fairly good. Alba Shout is something you can do if you don't have a second premium. Travis, viable replacements for Sinistera with 1.1 million in the bank. How much is Sinistera? 6.5 million. So you're looking for, let me do the maths. Midfielders up to 7.6. Yeah, I mean, I'm personally not feeling Trossard right now just because of how poor the fixtures are. They've got Spurs, City and Chelsea in the next 5. That Chelsea game week 14, going to be interesting, isn't it? Rashford, we've mentioned him. I do see Rashford becoming more of a winger again now that Martial is fit, but I don't think that's a bad thing because they played very well together in the Europa League last night. Zaha would be the go-to if you don't own him already. Hope that helps, Travis. Nuclear Atoms, do you ever feel any burnout towards FPL and FPL content, and how do you recover from it? Yeah, sometimes. I kind of made myself quite an ambitious schedule for the weekly content that I put out, but I've got some things that, are more of a priority than others, so I just cut a few things out of the schedule if I feel like it's getting too much. I guess this season is a different one with the World Cup break because I've got a bit of, time to recover. Had a few days off, when we got the disruption in Game Week 7 as well. So it's not been as bad as it has been in other years. Keep the questions coming, by the way, guys, on this charity stream. So FPL questions, beginners questions, non-FPL related questions. You can literally ask me anything. Going to be here for almost another half an hour. Hit that like button as well. Subscribe to the channel if you don't already, because it's going to add more money into the charity pot. 10p per new subscriber this week. Jean-Dre says, Trent, keep or sell, and for who? Sell for anyone, really. In terms of the premiums, Cancelo, James, Trippier. I don't mind Thiago Silva as well. You could also go down and invest money in a different position. Gandalf, thoughts on Martial? He's a form player, and with Mitra out, could we bring him in? Yes, but I did see, going back on Ben Dinnery again, this comment. I think this was what Ten Hag said at the end of the Champions League. Sorry, guys. At the end of the Europa League. I want to do it really carefully because he had a good pre-season. I cannot force it. I have to do it with a plan, and I'm trying to do it. It's quite clear I'm happy with his performance. So that says to me that we are going to see Martial from the bench a few more times before he's getting regular starts. So that for me is the reason to think about just keeping him on the watch list a little bit longer. Uchicha, Hi Holly, Fofana, KDB and Isaac to James, Foden or an Aubameyang, or just take Isaac to Wilson. I mean, I don't mind the 3 move. I'm just not that keen on Callum Wilson because when Isaac is fit, they are going to share game time. James has asked, 2 free transfers, thinking of Pope to Iverson and Gordon to Zaha. Will play Ward till the World Cup. Right, 1 clean sheet for Leicester against Nottingham Forest does not mean that we can rely on Ward as our goalkeeper to the World Cup. I think that's a little bit of an ambitious using Pope as your cash cow. And a little bit of a waste of the transfers. Try and improve Gordon by finding funds in a different position. David has asked, who do you think will be on your radar for vice-captain this week? I mean, I'm tempted to stick it on another Man City player. Or, well, it's on Maddison at the moment. I'd probably stay there if I'm honest. Robert says, I'm on a wild card as I was not thinking of having any double on players from the same team. Good idea. I don't have Haaland either. Yes, get Haaland in. That is the priority. Still crazy, right? Haaland is in 83.2% of teams. That means that the 16.8% of managers, which when you've got 10.5 managers equates to about, nearly 2 million people, don't own Haaland. Like, that is crazy. Kamedo, do you know anything about Mitrovic's injury? No, I wish I did. We've heard nothing all week. It's been radio silence. Someone did tell me that they think he's out of the West Ham game. However, the thing to consider in that is that it's not necessarily this weekend we need Mitrovic for. It's game week 11, game week 12. If he's only going to miss 1 game, I'm happy to hold him. Tejas has said, thoughts on Emerson, need a strong bench to navigate game week 12. I'm hoping he comes good. I'm really hopeful. He started in the Europa League last night as a left wing back. Creswell was on the bench. And West Ham didn't put up a bad team. I'm hoping he comes good. But then you think you need a strong bench to navigate game week 12 if he plays Liverpool anyway. So Peter has asked for a Harrison replacement with 0.5 in the bank. So you got 6.6 then. I mean, first of all, do you need to sell Harrison? I think at 6.6, there's only really Rashford, if I've got that right, if you can afford Rashford. Yeah, you can afford Rashford. But I do think going up to the guys that are, 7 to 8 million, if you can find the funds from elsewhere. Humza says, can I replace Salah with Son? You can do. Don't know whether it's the best use of funds. I think, the mid-price midfielders are looking so good at the moment that I'd be tempted to take loads of funds out of Salah and spread it around a bit. Zoran has asked, is Martial a starter this week? Hopefully I covered that one for you. Jaja says, Zaha or Maddison until game week 16. I think Maddison's a better asset. Like, he got 23 attacking returns last season. It was basically an attacking return a game. And he's doing the same this season. And the fixtures are really good. Keep the questions coming then, guys. And remember, the Super Chat is on as well. All of the funds from Super Chats will go to charity as well, to Cancer Research UK. Tamora, at this point with everyone captaining Haaland, is there any way I can make real progress at 4 million? Yes, there is. It might be a bit steadier than normal, but, there's no guarantees that Haaland stays fit all season. And when that happens, it's going to blow things open. We have got double game weeks coming, so there's plenty of ways to capitalise. A funny one from Alex. Were you on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire recently? The person on the show called Holly and looked and sounded like you. No, but I have got it recorded on my Virgin box, so I will have a look through and see if I can appreciate the resemblance. Tell me, Alex, was it this week, last week? If I can get the right episode, then I'll have a look. But no, it wasn't me. Wish it was. Kevin says, thoughts on Samaka? He's in good form recently. Could he be the differential? Potentially. I'm just not that keen on West Ham assets while they're in Europe, especially because like Antonio's still there as well. Jordan has said Daka for Mitrovic. Yeah, I've seen quite a few suggestions of going with Daka. Obviously, it's Vardy, isn't it? That's the issue. He started against Forest, got an assist. He's a bit past it though, isn't he? And, you know, Daka is a really good price. 2 goals and an assist since he's become more of a regular. Why was he on the bench though against Forest? That's my concern. The fixtures are good, so, you know, me looking at Costa as a differential, maybe Daka's a differential, but I think Solanke is only 5.7 now. And, you know, Solanke is a 90-minute man. He's on pens. That's the thing. Kiddos says Diaz, keep or sell. I think because, you know, there's better assets at Man City right now. I think maybe he is on the sell list. Maybe not this week, though. Maybe next week. Unless you need the funds for something else. Peter says, hello, Holly. Harris... Oh, I've answered that one, haven't I? Try and only put your question in the chat once. I am getting towards the end of these questions, guys, so keep them coming. Got another 20 minutes. I'll just put my team back on as well. So remember, FPL questions, beginners questions, non-FPL questions, literally ask me anything. Miho says thoughts on Bailey, sell or keep. I think with news that he's got a bit of an injury, I don't know if we know for sure whether he's going to miss out or not this week, but I think it's probably a good opportunity to sell. Jandre, Trent Cancelo, worth it with blank game week 12 in mind. I already have Trippier and James. Yeah, not loving that if I'm honest. I think Thiago Silva could be a good option instead. There was another premium that I had my eye on. I can't remember who now. Let's have a look through the list. No, I'm not sure actually. Certainly those ones though. Robert says, what differential players for midfield would you suggest? Don't want my wildcard team to be so similar. Few options. I really liked the look of Willock at Newcastle. 2 assists were his first returns of the season against Fulham, but he was also the highest player for expected goal involvement in that game, which is something that is notable. So that's something to keep an eye on. That makes him a good option for FPL squads. In terms of other differentials, Harvey Barnes potentially. He's quite injury prone. Bowen, of course, as well. Haven't mentioned. 4.3% of teams. Abdi says, should I get Martial for Mitrovic? I wouldn't recommend it at the moment. Ram says, is Joachim Anderson worth the risk? I think Guy is probably better. Alex has asked, any news on Mitro? No, not yet. DJ Cool. Sell Pope for Kepa and start him to free up some funds. If you've got 2 free transfers, that works. Rishav says Aston Villa attacker or Arsenal attacker for this week specifically. I don't mind a punt on Watkins. Similar sort of question from Nick there as well. Kidder says thoughts on Perisic. I mean, if you're still with him, you're probably getting frustrated with him. He's still in 25% of teams. 3 assists. Fixtures are a bit hit and miss. Minutes are a bit hit and miss. I think it's time to sell, really. Alex says, if Mitrovic is injured, how does Kane for Mitrovic and Guy for Trent sound? It's okay, but I'll try and get some key players in midfield. Jordan says, Williams to Trippier and Daka to Mitrovic with -4. I still think Williams could come good, but I don't think that's a bad move. Angus says, Holly, what site do you make use of to check the last performance against the squad? I use the transfer market. Go to transfer market, you can search for a player, and then you go on stats record against. Jordan has asked, do I have an FPL league? I do. I think The link to it is in the description. The league code is 96EPNP. Jar Jar says, who's the better Chelsea asset, Sterling or Alba? I think I trust Sterling more. Shane says, Guy for Emerson in game week 10 to navigate the blank in game week 12. Yeah, that could pay off. But if you only had one free transfer, I think I'd sooner roll it. Nakib has asked, what's your transfer? Probably Mitrovic to Solanke if he's out. If he's fit, I've no idea. I could do that hokey cokey and take out Cancelo and Martinelli, bring in Foden and Thiago Silva. Joel says, is Vinicius a good swap for Mitro? 0% owned. He came on, didn't he? So that's promising, but I don't know. I don't really know a lot about him. You know, he's no Mitrovic, is he? Tamara says, tripled up on Arsenal and Man City. How would you treat that before game week 12? I think you can lose your Arsenal assets now and bring them back in 13. Don't do anything with your City assets yet. Lloyd says, I own Cucurella, one free transfer. Should I switch him to more safe pick or keep him? I think given the clean sheet potential in that fixture this week, you keep him, hope for the best. And if you need to use your bench, then you can do. Jeandre has asked, what do you think of an additional chip to play? Moving bench players into your squad. Yeah, I mean, I'll be playing the World Cup fantasy game and they've got different chips. We saw different ones in the Euros game, the UCL games, things like that. So, you know, I do like different chips, but whether it actually works in Premier League and FPL, I'm not sure. I like for the World Cup where you can choose a different captain every day. That's quite a cool one. Hesham, any news on Mitrovic? No, press conferences at 1:30. Musa, best replacement for Sterling. Already got Zaha, Maddison and Trossard. Foden? Bowen? Nick says on Match of the Day show, Watkins low on confidence. Yeah, got to agree there. Watkins is definitely more of a fixture pick than a form pick. But he did have 6 shots in the box against Leeds. Yeah, Nakib said Cancelo is better at right back, so selling him is not ideal. You're right. Can I roll the transfer? I just don't know what to do. I can't do anything with Williams or Emerson or Andreas because we've got very little in the bank. If Mitrovic is fit, do I roll the transfer? Do I do De Bruyne to Foden? I can't do that because De Bruyne's record against Southampton is just too good. Decisions. Right, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you everyone for joining. Hit the subscribe button if you don't already. Add an extra 10p into the charity pot and hit the notify button as well. Do not miss that special deadline stream tomorrow for charity. All of your support on that is really appreciated. Let's cross our fingers on news for Mitrovic. Definitive news ahead of the deadline. Thanks everyone for joining me. I'll speak to you all again tomorrow.